I fully endorse Kamala Harris, and I will do everything I can to see to it that she is elected. Not just because I strongly oppose Donald Trump, but because I believe she's the best candidate, hands down. However, I do want Kamala to put on the top of her agenda the systemic racism that confronts African American men. That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Stay with me. Hello, everybody. I'm attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. And each and every week, we bring you at least one legal analysis of some trending story regarding politics, policies, personalities, or pop culture to empower you with the information you need to defy this unjust legal system and to nullify systemic racism. If that interests you, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you'll get notification every time we upload one of these powerful and informative videos. All right, please go over to Amazon, grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice, if you have an African-American son in public school. Just trust me, you need this book. And if your African-American son is not reading at grade level, we created the BARS Summer Reading Program. Go over to our website, lljp.org, and register him before the summer is up. This program ends September 1, so you got to get right on top of things. Tomorrow begins the month of August, so there's like 30 days, all right? And we'll do everything we can to help you help him in that 30-day period. Hey, everyone, I am attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. Recently, I took a look at our analytics, and I noticed something shocking. Many of you watch our videos, and I believe you enjoy them, but you haven't subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Again, I was shocked because I know our content is empowering and informative. Plus, our 2024 goal is to have 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Please help us by hitting that subscribe button, especially you young folks. We particularly want to increase our number of young subscribers. Thanks for all your continued support. We appreciate it very much. All right, so I have been all my adult life, I would say, trying to help lift and empower African American men. It really intensified after I lost my second youngest brother. I had two younger brothers growing up. One was killed when he was 16 years old, and another one was killed when he was 20 years old. And I preached both of their funerals. And I vowed, I was in my, I think maybe mid-30s at that point. I vowed that I would spend the rest of my life fighting for African American men, from boys on up, because of the unique challenges that we face as a group of people. And why is that? Because we were targeted. As I've said many times, if our enemies can neutralize us, the men, then they can neutralize the entire African American community. So that's why they targeted us. And it has had a profoundly negative impact on us. So yes, I want to see Kamala address systemic racism directly as it relates to African American men. And like I said, I am not just talking about it. I have been about it for 30 years or more. I, as a pastor, have used my pulpit to empower African American men. I have started nonprofit organizations. For example, the National Black Parents Association, the Lazarus Law and Justice Project, and several others, all geared toward addressing systemic issues facing African American men. So this is dear to my heart. And obviously, I am an African American man, and my son, 29-year-old son, he also as an African American man that I've had to navigate through this system. So this is real for me. This is serious for me. And it's a large part of the reason why I became a YouTuber. I mean, just being a civil rights lawyer in the courtroom and a criminal defense lawyer in the courtroom, that's one part of it. But I wanted to reach out. I wanted to use social media to empower African American men and women. But again, my focus, my calling has been to Black men. If we can get the knee of the system off the necks of Black men, that's going to change the entire African American community. Because then we can be better fathers. We can be better husbands. We can be better employees. We can earn more to take care of our children. It will be altogether better if we can empower Black men. So, when I say that Kamala should address systemic racism that is harming Black men, I mean that. She should speak directly to Black men over the next 100 days until the election. And I mean, tell us, in fact, let me go to another screen so that you'll see precisely what I'm saying. First, let me just tell you that this is going to be a two-part video. The first part will discuss why Kamala needs to address directly the systemic racism Black men face, and we want to know what she intends to do about them with her specific policy proposals. That's what we want over the next 100 days. Now, again, I fully endorse Kamala. I absolutely want to see her in the White House. I will do everything that I can with what platform I have, with what resources I have, to see that she's elected, because she is leap years better than the other guy. He's anti-Black. That is clear. But we want someone also who will go into the White House and fight for us. All right, now, the second part of this video, I'm going to take a look at her prosecution record. That is really important to me as well, as both a criminal defense attorney and a civil rights attorney. Kamala has written 2 books I'm going to introduce you to in just a moment, and I am in the process of reading both of those books. So I'm going to come back with a later video, and we're going to talk about her prosecution record. Let me give you some background information. The U.S. is facing a national crisis. It is virtually guaranteed that if you are poor, male, African American, or Native American, you have a disproportionately high likelihood of ending up in prison, unemployed, or both. Now, that is a crisis. It is one that doesn't get a lot of attention. We have to make Kamala, we have to make her give it attention. Because remember now, Kamala is a politician. Okay, let me say that again. Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, is a politician. So we have to force her to give attention to the issues that are important to us, right? We have to force her. I got an upcoming video coming out that is entitled, "Voting is Not Enough. What Must We Do Next?" See, we can't just pull the lever, vote for these politicians, and then walk away and not keep the pressure on them. We got to keep the pressure on them. And I'm going to talk about ways to do that in an upcoming video. So yes, she's a politician, and we have to make her do things. So again, the U.S. is facing a national crisis. It is virtually guaranteed that if you're poor, male, African American, or Native American, you have a disproportionately high likelihood of ending up in prison, unemployed, or both. And, quote, to be male, poor, and either African American or Native American is to confront on a daily basis a deeply held racism that exists in every social institution. That is systemic racism. Racism that exists in every institution of American life. Banking, education, the criminal justice system, on and on and on and on. She goes on to say, no other demographic group has fared as badly, so persistently, and for so long, says Camille Bassett of the Brookings Institute. No other group, not white males, not Asian males, not Hispanic males, not those from the Pacific Islands, etc. Black American men have dealt with the brunt of systemic racism as we dealt with the brunt of slavery and Jim Crow. Because again, the goal of the white supremacists is to emasculate African American men. Because if you can emasculate the men, you can emasculate the entire community. All right, let's go back to the other screen here. Now, here are some statistics. It's just a few. Troubling pathologies for black men. First, incarceration. African American men are 5 times more likely to be imprisoned than white men. I know that because I am a practicing criminal defense and civil rights lawyer. You go into the Dallas County Courthouse or the Tarrant County Courthouse or surrounding courthouses here in the DFW area, and the person or group that you will see most are black men. And it's heartbreaking. And you see that throughout the country. And we got to do something about it. So if we're going to get behind Kamala, we want Kamala to get behind us. Okay? So incarceration, again, African American men are 5 times more likely, 5 times more likely to be in prison than white men. That's by design. That's not because we are more criminally minded or have some sort of criminal gene. No, that is because of systemic racism. Everything from racial profiling to being overcharged to their excluding blacks from juries, etc. Systemic racism. Unemployment. The unemployment rate for African American men is 6.3% compared to 3.5% for white men. Education. Only 36% of black men aged 25 to 29 have completed a bachelor's degree or higher, compared to 48% of white men. That has huge ramifications for income, upward mobility, etc. And of course, it also contributes to our ability to create wealth for our families, not just wages and income, but actual wealth. That is what we have after we deduct liabilities from our assets. That tells us what our net worth is, and oftentimes that's directly related to one's level of education. Health. Higher rates of chronic diseases like hypertension and diabetes. Black men have with a life expectancy of 72 years versus 78 years for white men. Additionally, homicide is the leading cause of death for black males 14 to 44, and suicide is not far behind. You see, no other group has these kinds of outcomes. And once again, it is directly related to the legacy of slavery, Jim Crow, and current day systemic racism that Trump and MAGA and the GOP deny. Brothers, I don't even understand why you would even look their way to support them when they deny that you even deal with systemic racism. Wealth. Median wealth for black households is $24,100 compared to almost $190,000 for white households. All based on caused by systemic racism. So urgent action is needed to address this crisis. Now, Kamala, what do you plan to do about this crisis that is facing and confronting African American men? We want to know. We want you to tell us, what do you have planned? What do you intend to do? Now, again, Kamala has written 2 books. I am reading them now. We're going to talk about them, especially in part 2 of this video. So what we want to know is, what will Vice President Harris do for black men? Now, what I would like for her to do are 3 things, both on the campaign trail and if she wins. 1, I want her to prioritize black men. I don't want us at the bottom of the list. I don't want us in the middle of the list. I want us on the top of the list because we are experiencing a crisis. I don't want to be down beneath every other situation going on in this country. I want us to be at the top because we need the help. Systemic racism has been beating us down for generations. And even before that, we dealt with Jim Crow and slavery. It's time to give some serious attention to African American men. If this country had done some of what the Kerner Commission proposed back in the 60s, we wouldn't have all of these issues. But heretofore, this country has not been willing to put forth the resources to address the issues of the country's most vulnerable population. And again, that's African American men. So we want Kamala to prioritize black men, put us at the top of the list. Second, we want her to put in the work to understand our problems. We have a unique set of problems. We need specialized attention. We need her to understand those problems. Now, I believe that she has a better than normal understanding of those problems because she was a prosecutor. So she knows the issues that causes a lot of African American men to end up in the court system. So she's well along the way to understanding our problems. But I want her to dig deeper. I want her to dig deeper. I want her to come into our neighborhoods. If I were her, I would never allow Trump to be considered by black men to be more engaged and more interested in the issues of black men. We know he's not engaged. We know he's not interested. He could care less. He's just trying to get votes. We know he is all about white supremacy. He's working for white men, not black men. He come into the barbershops and the churches and all of that just to try to get some votes, to lie and get votes. Kamala, on the other hand, we need her to come into these areas and talk to us and show some real concern. So we want her to understand the problems, the unique problems that we face. We want her plugged in. Don't concede that to Trump. Show these brothers. I want her to show these brothers, I'm concerned. I'm going to do things for you. I'm going to use my time in the White House to fight for you. And third of all, I want Kamala to create policies/programs to address our problems. Policies/programs to address the unique problems that African American men face. So again, prioritize black men, study and understand the problems that black men face, and then create appropriate policies/programs to address those problems. But now we're not going to stop with Kamala. We're not going to do that because there are some things that we must do for ourselves. And I'm going to tell you what those things are. But let me do caution you because we know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. Trump, MAGA, and the GOP will fight such policies and programs hard as they have affirmative action and DEI. Nevertheless, we want her to fight, and we must vote for the right people to fight with her. And do keep in mind, I've been talking to you about how government works. To get laws passed, Congress has to enact those laws, and Kamala will then sign them into law. Otherwise, she has to do executive orders, which are okay, but they're not like laws that have been passed by Congress and signed by Kamala if she becomes president. So that means we need to go out in record numbers and give her the people she needs to push forth policies that are conducive to the problems that black men face. So we got our part to play here. So let me tell you what I believe we must do to help ourselves. 3 things. 1, we got to continue with the protests. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep fighting for progress. We got to keep protesting. We got to keep marching. We got to keep voting. We need to increase our voting. These are the things that we must do for ourselves. Do you follow me? And along with that, we need to capitalize on the progress. We have made significant progress in this country. Let's take advantage of the progress that we have made. There are some programs that are out here to help us. Let's take advantage of those programs. For example, the Biden administration eliminated the requirement for SBA loan applicants to have no felony convictions. In other words, you can apply for an SBA loan for your business that you want to start, and it doesn't matter that you have a felony conviction. That's something that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got done. They got that done. They were able to make that happen. So what's stopping any African-American man from starting a business, regardless of whether he has a criminal record, a felony record? That doesn't matter now. If everything else is in place, that will not stop him from getting an SBA loan. Now, let me tell you this, you better hurry up and do it, because God forbid, if Trump wins, he will go back and undo everything Biden has done to benefit African Americans. That's what he did to Barack Obama. Nearly everything Obama did to benefit blacks, the Trump administration did everything they could to repeal, to set back, and to just completely gut those things. Which is why I have to just hit myself on the head trying to figure out why any of you are thinking about supporting or voting for Trump. It literally is irrational. It makes no sense because the man is anti-black. So, what are the things that we can do for ourselves? Continue to protest, capitalize on the progress, and then close the access. What do you mean? The access to your mind that you're giving to these folks, many on social media, who are misleading you with information that does not help you. Do the second thing, capitalize on the progress. You got to close your mental access to those kinds of what I call pro-black imposters who tell you to vote the couch until you get reparations. That literally, again, is irrational. We are owed reparations. We will fight for reparations. But no thinking person will stop doing what he has to do until he gets reparations. That is asininity. Okay? So those are some things that we got to do for ourselves. We can't have this sort of dependency attitude on politicians, right? I had to tell a young man that recently. The Civil Rights Act, the Voter Act, all of those civil rights laws are in place. The GOP has gutted the Voting Rights Act, but they're still in place, and they've been in place now for quite some time. It is up to us to take advantage of them instead of waiting for someone to come and do it for us. I had someone in the comments the other day to say, the Democrats haven't done anything for us in over 30 years. I shot back at him, what have you done for yourself in the last 30 years? Have you made good choices or bad choices? What have you done to hurt or help yourself? What the Democrats did with the passing of the civil rights legislation was they opened doors. Now it's up to us to go inside those opportunities and take advantage of them. Yes, there's still systemic racism there, but we got to push through it until help comes. And listen, you all, like I've told you, I'm a high school dropout. I had every excuse to do nothing with my life. Every excuse. But I refuse to just be nothing. So I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I kept right on pushing until I got where I was trying to go. Don't let nothing stop you. We're going to continue to put pressure on the politicians to get more so-called tangibles, but we can't wait until then. That doesn't make any sense. We want Kamala to directly address the systemic racism that is harming black men. We want her to do that in the next 100 days. Kamala, if you watch this video, I am saying on behalf of African American men, we have dealt with and continue to deal with a lot of systemic racism. As you know, as a former prosecutor and a senator, vice president, you know this. And we need you to go into the White House and fight for us. In the meantime, until you get in the White House, come into our communities, sit and talk with us, black men specifically, and hear our stories and tell us what you intend to do for us. I support you. I strongly endorse you. I'm with you because you're much more qualified than the other guy. There's no way. I love your slogan that we're not going back, which is where Trump and MAGA and Project 2025 are trying to take us. We're not going to let that happen. But it really, really, really would mean a lot if you did the three things I suggested. All right. So that's for Vice President Kamala Harris, hopefully soon to be President Kamala Harris. Now, in part two, again, I'm going to look at Vice President Kamala Harris's prosecution record. That video should be out in a week or so. All right. I am Attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. And this is the kind of content we bring you on a weekly basis. Okay. But until the next time, peace.